Today's top stories. The military expresses confidence lawmakers will accept its proposal to extend martial law in Mindanao. A historic event, President Duterte and the military are set to welcome the Balangiga Bells on their arrival tomorrow. President Duterte signs a law that provides for the health of children for the first 1,000 days of their lives. And PCOO Chief Martin Andanar comes to the aid of a disc jockey who suffered a stroke.
Good day, I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is looking forward to approval of the extension of martial law in Mindanao. The military is set to propose before lawmakers a one-year extension of martial law. More on this from Rom Dulfo.
The military is confident its report recommending the extension of martial law in Mindanao will be able to withstand the scrutiny of legislators. The AFP is tackling the proposed extension in a security briefing with senators. Military Public Affairs Office Chief Noel De Toyato says it will just be an assessment of the current situation and the extension depends on the people who are affected by martial law. Defense Chief Delfin Lorenzana said he is supporting the AFP's recommendation for a one-year extension of martial law on the island due to the presence of terrorists and the need to neutralize them. Martial law in Mindanao was declared on May 23, 2017, following attacks launched by the Maute Group in Marawi City. The lower house of Congress granted the extension of martial law until December 31, 2017 at the President's request. The Senate and the House of Representatives granted in a joint session early December the Chief Executive's request for the extension of martial law and the suspension of the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus from January 1 to December 31 this year. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
A ceasefire this Yuletide season is seen to benefit only the Communist Party of the Philippines' New People's Army. AFP Public Affairs Chief Noel De Toyato says the ceasefire will only give the rebels a chance to celebrate their 50th founding anniversary on December 26. The CPP-NPA ceasefire will run from December 24 to 26 and on December 31 to January 1, 2019. For its part, De Toyato says the AFP will be on alert this holiday season to ensure and maintain peace for the Filipino people. He also clarifies more NPAs are surrendering for the past few months than encounters with the rebel group. This as more rebels are availing of the Enhanced Comprehensive Local Integration Program. Malacanang laments the personal attacks by Communist Party of the Philippines founding chair Jose Maria CSUN against a policy of President Rodrigo Duterte on the West Philippine Sea. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said CSUN bases his attacks on a 2-year-old article by risk analyst Anders Corr, or 2 weeks into the Duterte presidency. He says CSUN's high living in Europe has made him out of touch of the realities in the Philippines. Panelo urges CSUN to see for himself President's foreign policy course, especially in relation to the arbitral ruling on the West Philippine Sea. He adds CSUN must accept the reality that his dream of wresting political power from the duly constituted authorities has come to an end. President Rodrigo Duterte has signed a law that seeks to scale up nutrition during the first 1,000 days of life. Republic Act 11148, or the First 1,000 Days Law, provides for a proper maternal and child health care program to prevent stunted growth of children. Under the new law, the government is mandated to prioritize the nutrition of pregnant, and lactating women, infants, and young children. It will also provide a comprehensive strategy to institutionalize and scale up investment for health and nutrition in regional and local development units. At least 17 billion pesos will be needed to implement the program, which will include inoculating about 2 million pregnant women against tetanus and diphtheria and deworming 3 million children below 2 years of age. COMELEC extends a voting period in the 2019 elections, and the Environmental Management Bureau opens a search for eco-friendly schools. More on these and other news around the metro from Benj Bondoc.
The Commission on Elections extends the period of casting votes for the May 13, 2019 elections from the usual 5 p.m. cutoff to 6 p.m. COMELEC will also allow voters who are within 30 meters from the polling place by 6 p.m. to cast their votes provided that they are listed on the list prepared by a poll employee. Any voter in the list who is not present or does not respond when called shall no longer be allowed to vote. Meanwhile, the Maritime Industry Authority issued a show cause order against 4 maritime schools for operating without government permits. Marina says 4 schools with disapproved applications to operate were still accepting first-year students in marine transportation and marine engineering. They will be given 10 days upon receipt of the show cause orders to respond to Marina's inquiry. In other news, the Environmental Management Bureau launched the 2019 nationwide search for sustainable and eco-friendly schools. Over 300,000 pesos in prizes and special awards await the winners. Participants may also win special awards for water, energy, and green leadership. This event aims to highlight the role of schools in raising public awareness and action on environmental protection and sustainable development. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Bench Bondo.
Still to come, President Duterte and the military are set to welcome the Balangiga Bells on their arrival tomorrow. Poway Church colors itself orange as it joins a fight to stop violence against women. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Maraming mga turista nagpunta sa amin, I was interviewed and was demo how that tapa be made.
What we do is we sell ready-to-wear pieces like t-shirts, pullovers, and jackets, accentuated with artisanal craftsmanship. We work with the Bagobo Tagabawa, based in Davao City, the Tiboli tribe in Lake Cebu, South Cotabato, and the Blaans from Sarangani.
The PNA Project was hatched just last year when I was still in the Department of Agriculture. Its primary objective was to promote Filipino food and agriculture. Together, let us all rediscover the beauty and diversity of our nation through a gastronomic journey.
Let this gathering spark greater appreciation of our diverse cuisine as we steer the Filipino agriculture and tourism and to even greater heights.
The scheduled return of the Balangiga Bells to the people of Eastern Samar is seen to have immense significance according to the military. AFP spokesperson Edgar Arevalo says the bells symbolize nationalism, patriotism, and personal sacrifice in the pursuit of freedom. In a separate statement, the Department of National Defense said the return of the bells signifies a long-standing relationship between the Philippines and the United States. The return of the bells will also catalyze historical healing for both the Philippines and the U.S. The Balangiga Bells will be received by President Duterte and Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana at Villamor Air Base tomorrow, December 11. More Filipinos are now saving up money for their needs, and majority of them are now opening up their own bank accounts. More on this from Miguel Hill.
The number of Filipinos who have set aside some money for a rainy day has risen in the fourth quarter of 2018. A Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas survey showed that more household respondents said they have some savings. Setting aside funds for emergencies is the main factor why the respondents have savings. Health and hospitalization came in next, followed by education, retirement, purchase of real estate, and business capital and investment. Survey results show that 68% of the respondents have bank accounts, which is higher from last quarter. Nearly half of these savers put their money at home, while 26.5% save through cooperatives, paluwagan, other credit loan associations, and as investments like microfinance and insurance. Meanwhile, about 40% of the respondents can still set aside money this quarter, higher than the 37.3% in the previous quarter. The central bank has strengthened its financial education program to equip more Filipinos the know-how to efficiently use their money and what investments to avail to secure their funds. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
The House of Representatives approves measures seeking to strengthen, empower, and enhance the financing programs for micro, small, and medium enterprises. House Bill 8714 seeks to amend the Magna Carta for micro, small, and medium enterprises. The bill mandates the national government to allocate at least 10% of all its procurement opportunities for goods and services to eligible enterprises. It orders to provide for the full capitalization of the Small Business Corporation, which will in turn extend all forms of financial assistance except grants and subsidies. The bill also seeks to extend for another 10 years a mandatory allocation of credit resources by the banks. The military vows to pursue operations and community outreach programs despite the declaration of a unilateral ceasefire by the Communist Party of the Philippines. Incoming AFP Chief of Staff Benjamin Madrigal Jr. said he asked military personnel to remain active and on defense mode. Madrigal says the military is not keen on recommending a suspension of military operations to reciprocate the CPP's holiday ceasefire. Brigadier General Ernesto Torres of the 1003rd Brigade said the Communist rebels' offer of a holiday ceasefire will not stop the security forces to arrest any members of the New People's Army. He said the members of the NPA should use the ceasefire period to reconsider returning to the government's side and celebrate Christmas with their families. Health officials in Zamboanga City intensified their immunization campaign, and Poway Church joins the campaign to stop violence against women. More on these stories from the provinces from Janice Cave.
In Zamboanga City, the City Health Office is intensifying its immunization campaign to ensure the protection of infants aged 9 months to 1 year old from illness. A house-to-house immunization drive is launched especially in far-flung areas. The vaccines given to the infants include oral polio vaccine, Hepa B, pentavalent, and other childhood vaccines. The city targets to immunize about 24,000 infants for the year 2018. In Ilocos Norte, the iconic St. Augustine Church, also known as the Poway Church, lights up in orange glow as it signifies its call to stop violence against women. The church has been chosen as a featured landmark this year in the nationwide campaign. The Department of Tourism says Poway Church plays an integral part in the rich heritage of the Ilocanos and is now a symbol of the promotion of women's rights. In Palawan, penal authorities, village leaders, and conservationists renewed an agreement to protect the critically endangered Philippine cockatoo or katala inside the Iwahig prison and penal farm. The covenant covers the conservation, protection, management, and preservation of the bird species known nesting and foraging grounds in 10 barangays in Puerto Princesa City. About 90% of the remaining world population of the katala is in Palawan. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Up next, PCOO Chief Martin Andanar comes to the aid of a disc jockey who suffered a stroke, and Alaska takes Game 3 of the PBA Governor's Cup Finals. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Excited na ba kayong makita yung mga Christmas lights dito sa Malacanang? Unang report.
This is Secretary Martin Andanar, and you're watching.
May you be filled with warmth, happiness, peace in your hearts. It is my hope that the merriment of the holiday season will reignite your desire to render genuine and sincere public service, especially to those who need it most. I call on you, my fellow government workers, to remain supportive of each other as we work towards achieving our hopes and dreams of our beloved nation. I wish all of you a very Merry Christmas. Mahal ko kayong lahat.
PCOO Chief Martin Andanar personally reached out to a Cagayan de Oro disc jockey who recently suffered from a stroke. Andanar learned of the condition of DJ MacHale or Mike Montalban in real life during a media gathering with members of the Cagayan de Oro Press Club. The two met at Montalban's house, where Andanar promised he would personally assist the DJ with his hospital finances. Montalban is known as the Rick Dees of the Philippines. He is also considered as one of the living legend DJs in Visayas and Mindanao. Andanar said Montalban is among those who has the biggest influences in his career. ASEAN labor ministers promote green jobs and inclusive growth in the recent 25th ASEAN Labor Ministers meeting and its related conferences. Labor ministers formulated an action plan to implement the ASEAN consensus on the protection and promotion of the rights of migrant workers. They also list down initiatives on improving occupational safety and health. Malaysian Human Resource Minister Mukula Segaran says all three documents were unanimously agreed on by all labor ministers along with China, Japan, and South Korea. Malaysia chairs the ASEAN labor ministers and spearheads the action plan in promoting green jobs and green skills. The Magnolia Hotshots are leading the PBA Governors Cup Finals even as the Alaska Aces recovered from their succeeding losses. Magnolia finished Game 2 77-71 as the Hotshots pushed back the Aces on defense on Friday night. But Alaska bounced back in Game 3 by capitalizing on a slow start to drop 67 points in the second and third quarter. Mike Harris dropped 36 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block, even as Vic Manuel added 14 points and 2 rebounds for Alaska. Romeo Travis made 18 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block for Magnolia. More residents in Marawi City participate in the Cathanor Project. Cathanor is a project organized by Task Force Bangon Marawi to establish an accurate database of displaced Marawi residents to ensure that government programs and services reach them. Calvin Pinaco has a story.
Due to popular requests from residents of the most affected areas, Task Force Bangon Marawi or TFBM conducted the Cathanor Project again at the Dimaporo Gymnasium for barangay residents who had failed to register during their assigned dates. TFBM Field Office Manager Assistant Secretary Felix Castro Jr. attended the event to check on the progress of the activity.
Ngayon, binalikan natin yung mga most affected areas na barangay. Kasi may mga nag-request na hindi daw nakasama. So, unahin natin uli yun. Then after that, yung mga outside maan naman.
TFBM personnel were properly organized around the gym according to each step of the Cathanor process. However, some residents still experienced certain difficulties during the activity. Barangay Bangulo resident Alina Harpakasum Asum shared a problem he had observed during the first step of the process.
Doon lang mahirap sa unang pasok. Kasi instead na 3 lanes lang, lumagsa po yung mga residente. Kaya naguluhan po yung mga taga-Bangon Marawi na naka-assign doon.
Asik Castro said that the Cathanor project, for the most part, is progressing well, and that residents have been very receptive to it.
Sa ngayon, nakakarami na tayo. Almost 6,000 na yung ating na mga napo-profile. So far, okay naman. Very receptive yung mga tao. Nakikita natin, sumusunod sila sa mga requirements. Dala-dala nila yung buong pamilya nila at yung mga documents na kailangan nila.
Meanwhile, ASUM encouraged other Marawi residents to take part in the Cathanor Project in order for the residents to be accurately recorded and to improve government services for internally displaced persons or IDPs in Marawi.
Actually, mahalaga po ito kasi sa na-observe ko, yung iba nagpaparehistro kahit hindi residente ng barangay namin. So isa po ito sa way na matingnan po na mas ma-authenticate po kung talaga mga residente po.
Cathanor is a project organized by TFBM to establish an accurate database of Marawi IDPs to better the delivery of government programs and services. Castro said that the project will continue until March or April next year. For the PNA Newsroom, Calvin Pinaco, Philippine Information Agency.
Let's now check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's top stories.
The military expresses confidence lawmakers will accept its proposal to extend martial law in Mindanao. A historic event, President Duterte and the military are set to welcome the Balangiga Bells on their arrival tomorrow. President Duterte signs a law that provides for the health of children for the first 1,000 days of their lives. And PCOO Chief Martin Andanar comes to the aid of a disc jockey who suffered a stroke.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. It's 15 days more to go before Christmas. That's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know from the PNA Newsroom. I'm Pia Rosas Morato. Good day.